now that we're in this weird era of COVID-19, Madeline, and everything has shifted, like what would you say is like the number one thing that job seekers need to do?
Talk to us, Madeline.
Yeah.
While I fix my camera.
So I would say that the top thing that so many job seekers say to me is, so when is this going to turn around? When should I really start pursuing these opportunities? And I really think that that is the wrong question to be asking. Not necessarily trying to focus on predicting the future. Really, the only way to predict the future is to plan and create it. So what you need to do is think about, what can I do today? Who can I reach out to today? Really not focusing so much on, maybe those companies probably aren't hiring, but getting on their radar, right? Starting to get in contact with a lot of different people, putting yourself out there, understanding that every job is now getting hundreds of applications, whereas maybe before it was getting dozens, now it's multiplied. But all these people are basically doing the same thing, which whenever you think of that, boom, ding, that's an opportunity to stand out, to follow up, to do something extra. And so what I think is just the most important thing is to move away from this planning mindset of, oh, when COVID ends, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and turn it into an experimentation mindset where you're saying, I'm going to try this, I'm going to see if someone responds, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fail, and then I'm going to try again.
Madeline, that's so powerful. I think one of the things that we all, love about you and a lot of what you do with LinkedIn is like, you're always creating content. How important is kind of building I want to say even an ecosystem around yourself? Because you're active on TikTok, you're active on LinkedIn, you're active on YouTube. How important is building an ecosystem around your personal brand to be able to experiment and I guess have opportunities come to you?
Yeah, so I have been coaching a lot of people through my courses on how to build this personal brand. And it's so interesting to hear their stories, because even when they're in the early days, right, they maybe have just a few hundred LinkedIn connections. They're starting to just put themselves out there. They get a little bit demoralized, right? Because maybe there's not all those likes and those vanity metrics that come with growing a social media presence. But what they find is that people in their network start reaching out to them more and they're reminded of, oh wow, that Tim is so pleasant, like I should reconnect with him, or opportunities will be coming their way. And even just stepping forward and saying, hey, I have something to share, I have a story, because everyone has a story. Even if I'm a beginner, that is a story, that is a journey. When you start stepping forward, people start wanting to interact with you and really understand you as an individual in the job market who they are now familiar with, versus a black and white resume page that no one has ever heard of. And it just instantly gives you this advantage. And also this shorthand to then start networking in a very easy way of where you're basically starting a conversation with people versus having to like cold message people and start from nothing.
They already know you. One of the things John always says is that every time he talks to a potential recruiter, they always start with, I feel like I already know you.
Yeah. Every time, man. Every time. Like, it became a trend that I started laughing about, because like that's the conversation that winds up happening. And that's beautiful, because what winds up happening is like you skip all the pleasantries. They called you because they already want you. Not like it's not an exploratory mission. They've already explored. Now they're calling you and saying like, how can I get you? And that's so powerful.
Boom. That's exactly it.
Got to share that story. So like so Madeline, let me ask you this. From a story sharing perspective, this makes people really nervous, right? How do you break free from those nerves of like feeling like you're going to be judged from putting your story out there? A lot of people are shy about that, or maybe they feel like putting their story out there is being boastful or something like that. So like maybe a tip or two to break free from that mentality.
Yes. So one of the top things to know is the 10% rule. So
what is that, Madeline? Let us know.
What is that?
Let me tell you all.
Let me break that down.
It is where you are an authority to speak on something if you are 10% more ahead than someone else in your audience. So if I just started my own business and I'm researching which website host to host my, build my website on, and I picked one, I'm now 10% farther than the other new business owner who is trying to pick where to put their website. And I'm sharing my journey. It's like, I'm not an expert on websites, but I did a bit of research and now here's my experience using this provider. And so really, when you think about it that way, it's like, wow, I actually do have a story to tell. I actually do have value because there's people out there who are just one step behind me. And not only will my insight help them, but it also will be a great chance for them to relate to me and almost us go on this journey together.
Yeah. I love that.
Man, somebody better have written that down because I've never heard it like put that way before.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I love about this 10% rule you just shared, Madeline, is that it doesn't mean that you have to be an expert. You can be an active learner, but you can still share your expertise. And I think people often feel as if I have to get to a point of leadership or I have to have a position title.
I have to be an expert. I have to be an expert.
Yeah, the following, and then that's when I can share my expertise, which is not the case.
Which is not the case at all. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So a question came in, guys. Zara, I love the 10% rule. It is encouraged to do, is it encouraged to do video content or does article blog style content still relevant today? What do you think?
So I would say that most people, and I think you all should, I mean, you all are both really great at building content as well. I would say so many people are so uncomfortable with video, and I did release my bloopers last year to prove that I too am a complete spaz, and it took me a long time to be able to speak into a camera unedited.
Oh man, it's hard. It's hard, right? Everybody's hard.
What? You guys are such naturals. Like, again, like I don't even believe it, but
no.
It's crazy.
It is legit hard, Madeline.
Yeah.
I think Madeline is like, we do it every day though. Like you create content like every week. I think it's the consistency that allows you to start like, okay, I know the type of emotion I want to create on camera, whether it be live or, in static video.
Yeah. So I think with content is done is better than perfect, right? Like if you are the written medium, if that resonates with you better, do that. But for some people, talking to a video is so much easier for others, right? And so whichever medium you feel is the one that is going to get you to do it and get you to be excited. For me, it was video. Video makes me excited to, to give that energy, and written is okay. So that's why I started with all video content. So really feel out, but then also take classes, take courses. I've taken courses on the major platforms to really understand how to best get that content out into the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So a bunch of questions coming in related to this topic, and maybe we'll kind of switch gears a little bit too and come back to this. But one of the things that somebody talked about, and I think this is really important to highlight, how do you create unique content for topics in tech where it's already saturated with so many blog posts?
I think that, I think you really want to look at your type of platforms. Like if you're creating blog posts, it's pretty much an SEO game. Like you better have, your SEO tight. On LinkedIn, it's stumble upon content.
Stumble upon.
Which is really good for beginners because what happens is people are not sitting there Googling. If you're on YouTube, if you're on a blog, people are sitting there Googling and finding you. 80% of people who watch my videos on YouTube have never seen one of my videos before. Like, that's mind-blowing. But on LinkedIn, it's stumble upon. So people will come across your content. They didn't choose to see your content. And that's a way to start a spark, right? So what you have to do is you need to make sure that people understand what your post is about quickly so that people who are in that technology space really get the point and the perspective that you're presenting. Don't do like, the other day I was walking around the block and it's like, no. Start with the meat of the post. The meat. And go into it.
Yeah.
Get to the point.
Yeah.
Like micro posts do so well on LinkedIn. And I love how you said it stumble upon content. And I kind of actually want to go back to what you were talking about earlier. Like John and I always tell people like, we freaking suck at writing. Like long articles because we.
Oh yeah, I don't want to get into that. like that game, like me spending hours and hours perfecting an article. That's not. Yeah.
But John is great at YouTube. I'm great at live. I'm great at video as well, and we just love like short snippets because people react really great to that, and it drives conversation. So it's like it's not find what like works for you,
your niche.
Yeah, your niche. And I think a lot of people are often like should I blog? It's like, how do you elicit your thoughts best? And I mean, there's a lot of people, Madeline, you work in, corporate. You're a great writer. You have to be because you work with talent and you're always like talking and documenting things like that. So you could also write as well. You do a lot of micro posts, but you're amazing at video and that allows your personality to show. And I often tell people nowadays, I think video is the biggest thing because everyone wants to feel connected to what you're talking about. And if you can't do video yet, start small. So like maybe share a 30-second video of saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. And you put it on LinkedIn and you just cut it to 30 seconds because that's like everyone's attention span already. Yeah. And don't try to do more than what you're able to.
Yeah. And so a number of different questions have come in about this topic, right? So Vina is saying, I understand how I can get engagement from LinkedIn, but how would I be providing unique value that hasn't been discussed to death before? So Vina, I like to think about this as there are 5,000 burger chains in the United States. Okay. And people go to them all for different reasons, right? It's the taste, it's the bun, it's the atmosphere, it's the messaging, it's the mission, whatever, right? So when you're thinking about creating content, there's a lot of people doing it, but you have your own unique message. And you have your own unique life stories and things that you can share, that you can spin into an angle that's uniquely you, that nobody else can take away from you, right? So don't be afraid that just because other people are doing it, that's the stopping point for you. What do you guys think about that?
I love it. I was like, dude, I love this burger chain analogy.
The burger chain analogy. I'm getting hungry.
I'm famished right now.
I'm hungry.
Madeline, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that is one of the most common hesitations I hear from people is what else is there to say? It's all been said.
Yeah.
And I think that what you have to realize on LinkedIn is that the post is not about you. Yeah. You are starting a conversation. You are welcoming other people to share and connect. And that is proof that you've done a good post. And so by putting something that people have talked about before or is familiar is actually good to get people to engage, because just know that you are the one who's the brave one to start the conversation and make it about everyone else.
Powerful. I want to relay this question. How do you build your brand on LinkedIn? What are some LinkedIn branding courses you would recommend? I think this is a perfect plug for Madeline's courses on LinkedIn. But one, Madeline, I think I want you to touch on the amount of, like, literally, what is your workflow for how you've built your brand on LinkedIn, but not just on LinkedIn, on TikTok and YouTube as well, because you often talk about it and you've talked about the details, but I want you to share those details here because people don't understand the workflow of the consistency that you bring to the table. So I would love for you to share that with us.
Yeah. So on LinkedIn, I think it's really important to have a content calendar and really think about how you're planning out your content. I think some people, there's days where I get inspiration and I post that day, but other times, I have content that did really well last year. And I think, how can I repackage this? How can I take maybe a YouTube video that I posted 6 months ago and maybe rewrite it in a LinkedIn post form? I think a lot of people also, the first thing they do is they write articles, right? And whenever I look at someone in my LinkedIn for Thought Leaders course and I look at their article, I go, okay, you have 4 posts right here. Like you're done. You're done for this week.
Efficiency.
And you're reusing the content, and that's called, really being efficient. So really just lean on yourself, lean on what you already have. And I create one piece of foundational content a week. Now I've been doing one piece of foundational content every 2 weeks because I have some other projects. But you create the foundational content, which is like a YouTube video or something substantial. And then I use that going forward and I put up my content calendar to release elements of that. So if it's 5 tips to get a job interview, I'll make a LinkedIn post about 1 tip to get a job interview, right? And that's 5 different posts. Or then I'll make it an image post, or I will make it into a TikTok video. So really not reinventing the wheel for yourself.
No,
I love that, Madeline. That's actually a really powerful kind of system that you have going. So foundational pillar content, and then you break it down into bite-sized chunks on LinkedIn as well as TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So I want to get your thoughts on something here, Madeline. So I am often of the mindset of not reaching out to recruiters, and a lot of comments have been coming about like, how do I get a new job? I'm a new grad. How do I reach out to recruiters? Because I think the mental model is reaching out to recruiters, and what I often like to say is, I like to go around recruiters, and I like to basically find people on LinkedIn who have similar stories, comment on their posts with insightful things, and then create a conversation with that individual who's not a recruiter, right? Because that friction is reduced. Build a conversation there, and then take that conversation into a place where they can help you get a job internally. And so what are your thoughts on like that strategic side of things? Do you believe in reaching out to recruiters, or do you actually believe in alternative methodologies? And if so, what are those?
John, I'm completely aligned with you. Again, we want to do things that not everyone's doing. Look at the people in the company. Who's getting the most messages? It's probably the CEO and the recruiters, right? They're just being bombarded with so much stuff. Now, if you look at the person who would be your coworker on that team, and maybe they get like just a few messages every now and then, you really have a chance to stand out. And you're absolutely right. Maybe they went to your alma mater. Maybe they lived in a similar city to you. Maybe they just had a really funny cover photo on their LinkedIn profile that resonated with you. Whatever it is, what you want to do is you want to reach out to that person and make it about them. This is what I noticed about you. This is what I think is cool. I noticed you had this path where you were an English major, but you ended up being a data scientist. And that path is really interesting to me. Like, I would love to hear your story and really get to know them exactly on that level, because that is your way in. It's not necessarily sending another generic message to a recruiter who has hundreds in their inbox.
Yeah. One of the things I love about your perspective is that you're talking about this from someone that's a creator, a content creator, but also someone that works in talent management. And So you see the back end perspective. So we know you're not lying.
Also, I will say, which is exactly, I like that you brought that up, because I will say, recruiters are rooting for you to get through the pipeline. It is their job to fill the role. So they absolutely want you to get through the pipeline, but they don't have say when it comes to who is getting hired. So you want to go after those decision makers. You want to go after the people on the team, the people who are going to be interviewing you. Those are the people who are going to really get you in. So absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. So there was another question about, let's see, this one was interesting. I want to make sure we touch on this. Still recommended. Okay, so is it the same approach for both recent grad? So in the discussion of content creation, is it the same approach for both a recent grad and people leader well into their career? So recent grad versus people leader. Are you thinking about the same approach to content creation?
So I have someone in my course named Maria, and she is a teacher for Teach for America, and she's early in her career. And it has been so great because she's extremely, talented, and she's been kind of discovering that talent through her thought leadership. And it's such an example of, she has been telling us her story of getting into Teach for America and her experiences going through the trainings. And that is all interesting and valuable to all of us. And so I think, for someone like any of us who have career experience where we're actually giving advice, maybe Maria wouldn't give a bunch of, tenured teaching advice to all of us, but there's a lot of advice there on how to, how she moves into a new intercultural environment and what she learned from that. I think we all have something to learn, and I think I think we underestimate how much we have to offer.
Yeah, that is so true. So one of the stats that I heard recently about LinkedIn is that less than 0.001% of people on LinkedIn globally are actually content creators. So you have 650 million people on LinkedIn, 250 or so million of them are actually active in any way, shape, or form, and only about 30,000 of them are posting any type of content. So what you all have is this evergreen opportunity, this ability, without paying a dollar, to amplify the message that you have to the world in whatever topic that you want, and have those opportunities come to you, because LinkedIn is the world's biggest search engine for recruiters. Right? So why not leverage that? And so one thing, Madeline, when I apply for certain jobs, there are some standard questions like, why are you applying for this company? Why do you want to work for us? What do you like about us, etc.? How do I answer such questions? Or what angle would you take to kind of answer those thematic type of questions?
Why do you want to work here? What was the other ones?
Here, I'm going to post it to the broadcast, the comment to the room, so you should see it on the screen.
Oh, cool. Okay. Why applying for questions like, why are you applying for this? Why do you want to work for us? What do you like about us? Okay, so it's the same question. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, why this role? Why this company? And this question is so absolutely crucial. If you get this one wrong, oh my gosh, just forget it. So basically, companies want to hire people who are intrinsically motivated.
Oh my God. Preach it. And I'm saying this is I'm talking.
That's from your angle too, right?
Right. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, Tim, like imagine if you hired someone who didn't really know about your company, wasn't really intrinsically motivated by building community and educating others and all this stuff. And it's just so anyways, so when people, they need to know that you're not just looking for another paycheck, but that that you have taken the time to get to know the company and that you can be intrinsically motivated by it. And I think our judgment can be a little bit clouded because, there's a lot of emotions involved and maybe we've been out of work for a bit. So we might just be like, I just need this job because I need it. But just if you've ever been a business owner, you know that resources are so precious that you want every single person on your team to be excited to be there, because that part is difficult to build. If that's already there, then that's fantastic. So really just take time to research the company, understand what it is that compels you about it, and make sure you're able to articulate that explicitly.
And I love that Madeline is touching on this because, we're literally, God is one of the hottest software as a service startups in Silicon Valley right now. And even as we think about our hiring, we're being so intentional about, are they intrinsically motivated? Do they already create content? Are they building their personal brand? And, coming from the perspective of a CEO, that is what leaders are looking for at all levels of their company. And it's like when you meet people who aren't taking that seriously, that type of no CEO wants to have a business of people who just want to feed off of the business. That's not the type of business anyone wants. So I love that you're saying this because I think so many people go through, pandemics like this or like work-life transitions like this where I just want a job, but no company wants you to just want a job. They want you to feel as if, are you doing fulfilling work? Are you passionate about the mission? And do you see a career here? But more importantly, do you feel as if you can grow here and then we can support you in your next steps? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't think about their careers from like, okay, what's my next ladder? How am I adding value? And do I feel fulfilled in this role? And I feel as if that's a huge problem as well.
Yeah. I love that. And so one thing that Matt just said was, do your research. Were they in the news recently? ? What have they done that you gravitated towards? Hit on that. How does the work directly relate to your life? And one thing that Miriam said, is this good advice? What Matt said, ... And yeah, I think we all collectively agree that is excellent advice, that you need to know those answers and have a position about why you specifically want to work there. That's so critical. That is going to set you apart from the competition. And so moving on to a different question, Varunda asks, any tips to follow up with recruiters who do not respond to your LinkedIn follow-up messages? I finished my screening interview pre-COVID and never heard back since.
So what I recommend for the follow-up messages is, hey, just checking in. I just want to let you know I'm still very interested. Do let me know if there's anything else you need from me. So you're basically telling them, hey, no worry. Like, never say, I don't know if you got my message. Like, am I still in the running? Like, I haven't heard from you in a long time. No, that reeks of desperation and accusatory language. In this time, it's really hectic. a role that's open yesterday might not be open today just because a company is so unsure about their financial future. So really just saying, hey, I just want to let you know I'm still interested. Do let me know once you know next steps, and do that every 5 to 8 business days.
Yeah, absolutely. The follow-up, you're not going to get annoying, right? They actually appreciate the follow-ups because they know that you're persistent.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, so I think that's really important, right? But you just don't want to take the wrong angle with it. So definitely follow what Makeline's saying on that point. And so I want to switch gears to this point here, because a lot of people are confused about what a personal brand actually is. I know Tim and I love talking about this. I'd love to get your feedback on this as well, Makeline. But I'm going to start with Tim. Can you describe what your personal brand is, what it should look like? I keep envisioning it as a one-liner about myself. I feel stuck in trying to narrow myself down to that level.
Well, shout out to Tim, because your name is Tim.
This one's Emily. This one's from Emily. This one's from Emily.
Oh, this is from Emily. Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, Emily. Shout out to Emily, because your name is Emily. So for me, I have been building my personal brand for the last 3+ years, and I actually started in grad school. So my brand has actually evolved over time, and a lot of people who are part of my community have seen it evolve. A lot of people who are part of our guy community have seen it evolve. It's evolved from grad student to thought leader around AI to Mr. Future of Work, and now me like leading a company as the CEO of Guide, and I'm still Mr. Future of Work. And my brand has always been around, one, I'm passionate about educating people, no matter what company or what I'm doing. And also I'm really passionate about community. So that fundamental has always been there. And more importantly, I'm really passionate about the future of work, and I'm really into futurism and technology. Yeah. So a lot of people almost oh, how do you build a personal brand? I've never built anything, or I've never talked about anything that I don't live or I'm not passionate about. So for me, I've always it's always been easy for me to authentically just build my brand, because I don't even think twice about what I'm saying and putting it out there. And I didn't necessarily have to go through this very deep exercise. But with that said, Emily, I know a lot of people don't have that clarity. And I think the best way to determine the clarity of what do you want your personal brand to stand for is actually to take a step back and don't even think about a personal brand at all. Thinking about what does Emily do every single day that brings her joy, whether it be reading a lovely newspaper or talking technology, or if she's really into tea, because I'm really into tea. How do you build interest? How do you build community around the things that truly drive you every day?
That lights you up.
That lights you up, because that's going to be super easy for you, and you probably don't even have to spend weeks or hours preparing that content. No. You can talk about it on demand. Just like that. And if you keep consistent with that, you'll see that people start to become attracted to you, and you blend it with your career. And people are like, okay, oh my God, I got to go to Emily because she's a rock star at talent management or talent branding or personal branding or LinkedIn learning, coaching. That's how you really build that cult following around your personal brand.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Makeline? As far as personal branding?
Yeah, I'm seeing some questions in the chats of how do we use keywords? How do we get this brand? I think the way Tim is describing it is so authentic, right? Is put things out into the world and really see what feels right and see what people are responding to. I do know that when I started my YouTube channel, I did create a list of, what would you call it? Standards, I would say, for my content. I said that it would have to be highly actionable. It would have to be playful, fun, lighthearted. It would have to be as concise as possible. So I wanted my content to be quick. And I want it to just be just high quality. And so when you think about what do you care about, right? What do you want to put out into the world? Those are some of the things you can think about. And really what a brand is I love the Maya Angelou quote where she said, people won't remember what you said. They won't remember what you did, but they'll remember the way you made them feel. Wow. So if you can show up when you are commenting on people's things, when you're in these chats, if you can show up and really make people feel good, that is the best possible brand you can have.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Maybe that's awesome. Energy in your posts, in your videos, all of that.
Yeah. You really just have to kind of go where the energy flows for you, right? If you are de-energized by stuff, you're looking at your phone and you're about to create a post on something that is, for example, in HR, and that's your industry, and you are instantly de-energized by that, you should not be posting about that.
Yeah,
and it's
you should be working in HR. You should just not be posting about it.
You should just not be posting about that, right? Like, and maybe you have this divergence that winds up happening, and it's honestly, it is the ultimate source of truth for you. If you don't even know who you are, it becomes the ultimate source of truth, because when you write about something, you realize, oh, I don't like this. And you go, oh my God, this is a problem, because every time I show up to create something, what I really want to be talking about is gardening. Well, honestly, that's a very interesting thing that you should hone in on, right? It has highlighted a gap in where you are today and what you actually love. So keep that in mind, and be consciously aware of those things. Content creation is your source of truth. So, yeah, let's
Y'all, we are running down on time, and
I know.
Ask questions.
I know.
Madeline for a few more minutes, y'all.
So let's do this, Madeline. Let's think LinkedIn strategies. Are there a couple strategic things that somebody can do if they do nothing else on their LinkedIn profile?
So the profile.
And a profile. Switching
Okay.
to profile.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got to talk about it. It's that headline.
It's a headline.
It's that headline.
I love how Madeline was like, yo, we got to talk about it. Headline. That's so true.
Yeah.
You can't get through this conversation without being like, your headline is either making or breaking you right now. Just hard stop. I mean,
hard stop. For real.
It really is. And what people talk about in their headlines is what they want, when really you should not talk about what you want in your headline. You should talk about the value you add to the world. Because remember, it's like thinking about like an article, right? You click an article because it's something that you want to know more about. No one wants to read, a list of, either that you're a student at X university or that you are open to opportunities. Like, these things are not really the value add to the world.
Open.
Yeah. And so really focusing on what, like, if you don't have a job in, in sales yet, but you have been taking sales courses and you're really committed to that, you still write the word sales in your headline, because that is the value you add to the world. You don't say, director of sales at X company. That would be a lie, but you put it out there about what value you add to the world so that you attract that and you brand yourself that way, and really focusing on, is there anything I can add in that headline that gives me credibility, right? Like, were you part of an award-winning student newspaper, or are you an EA who has scheduled, over 3,000 executive meetings, whatever it is, right? I mean, you have something interesting to share, and really using that headline as the value add to the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's a couple buckets here. Like, you can take a student angle. If you're a student, it's something that you're aspiring to, right? So if you want to be in product management, it would be aspiring product manager or product management. You don't have a title there yet, but it's product management or product manager that you're aspiring to, right? And then something at the end of the tagline that makes you unique, right? Student newspaper award, something along those lines, right? Use that to your advantage. And if you want to get some examples, just look at Madeline's profile. Look at Tim's profile and look at my profile, right? And you don't have to think about it as something that you need to stick with forever. You can iterate on your headline if you're not getting traction on it, and nobody's going to fault you for that. I've iterated at mine a number of different times.
Yeah, and it'll probably evolve as you grow, as you grow your community, as you grow your personal brand, as you grow in your career, and that's actually perfect, because it shouldn't be the same forever. If it is, that means you're not actually having a good career. If it's just the same headline, that means that's actually an indicator that you're not growing in your career or as a person. So definitely be open to changing it over time.
And Madeline, what do you say about having a degree or credentials in your headline?
I think what's most important is people will ask me all these questions about, if I want to be an environmental lawyer, okay, what's my right path, or this or that? And what I have to say to that is, you need to make the first step of networking within your profession. You need to understand, what are the certifications, not just, people ask me, should I get the certification? I go, Are you noticing it in job descriptions? Have you asked people in your profession, is this a really important thing for you to know? So really don't waste space on your headline unless it's confirmed that, yes, that is a key thing to have. And so really make sure that you are doing informational interviews with people in your profession or the profession you're aspiring to be in, to make sure that you understand that you're speaking the language and you're also putting the things that actually matter.
Yeah. Now, Madeline, what do you think about the LinkedIn banner? The big splash image on the top, right? Yeah. Do you think that people need to take advantage of that?
One thing I think people should know that I think most people don't is on the recruiter side, we can't see that. So just know that if I'm searching for your profile over LinkedIn Recruiter and you have like, that's the only place where your contact info lives or anything like that, know that that needs to also be somewhere else. But as far as the picture, absolutely. I think that's a great place to really make sure that you're utilizing that space to either say what type of professional you are or your contact information, or, you know, follow me to get tips on blank, fill that in, right? So that when people land on your profile, they instantly know what you're about. Yeah. Yeah.
And Tammy has something that's interesting, right? She says, I'm gonna post this here. She says, LinkedIn tells me that I came up in hundreds of searches each week, but the keywords that I'm found for are really not the ones I hope to be searched for. How do I optimize my profile to get searched for the right keywords?
Powerful question.
Yeah. What do you guys both think of that? I'll start with Madeline here on this one.
Yeah, Madeline, go first because you're great at this.
Yeah, so I would say I come up with some weird stuff. Like I don't know how like I think maybe also the sample size is so small that sometimes they just pop stuff up there. So that's one thing. But how do you actually control your keywords? Well, the first thing is to really get straight on what are the keywords that are popping up. So one thing to do is, even if you're not job seeking, maybe you are, typically when you go to the job descriptions, it'll say like you have like 5 out of the 10 skills that they're looking for. And you'll see those skills that these companies are looking for. Notice what are on those skills, because those might be some really good keywords for you to do and are often the type of keywords that these companies are searching for. And then make sure that you're peppering them throughout your profile. LinkedIn really likes to look at your skills section and your headline the most.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Tim?
Look, you got to optimize every single part of your profile for the keywords you want to be searched for. And I say this because for me, I recall when I was working with Microsoft, and the way I got the job at Microsoft was because I was optimizing everything on my profile. I had AI product manager in my headline. I had some of the concept and projects that I worked on in the body of my experience section. I would blog and write micro posts around AI and product management. I did everything to be found by the LinkedIn algorithm, and it worked because a Microsoft ZVP reached out to me and said, "Hey, look, I love everything that you're talking about. I checked out your page, and I feel like you'd be a great fit for one of our UX design teams, and in a and be on a UX design role for our AI team." And like at that point, Microsoft was investing heavily into AI. So he was able to find my profile because he was super interested in artificial intelligence. And, you know, he was speculatively looking for talent around that for his teams. So when you think about like LinkedIn, it's literally an algorithmic platform. So anything that you put on your profile in terms of how you want people to find you in your bio, in your headline, in the experience section, like the really important sections, all of that, for Madeline's point, in the recruiter section, it actually gives you an algorithmic ranking for how quick Madeline would be able to find you for that specific role that she may be looking for. Yeah. So it all like coalesces into helping and working in your favor for getting that next job or being found by that awesome recruiter who's like, okay, we need this guy or girl.
Yeah, that's right. And once again, guys, just go on each one of our profiles, right? Find the things that we do, right? We've been at this for a long time. There's going to be commonalities and themes. You're going to see very graphic, very good JPEG graphics in our banners, right? Our headlines are going to be situated. Our about sections are going to be tight. Just use us, right? Just use us as a way, as a template. Yeah, right. Just copy it. Just use this as a template.
And also, by the way, y'all, if y'all are loving this live stream webinar with the amazing Madeline, man. And John, please share and tag us on LinkedIn. Mention us. We're going to show you love on LinkedIn, as we always do, because I've been loving this episode personally. I feel like we should just be like streaming this to the world. This
is like all day, every day, just like a constant 24/7 stream. I love it. I love it. No, but seriously, yeah. We've been talking a lot about content creation, right? And people are like, well, what should I share? And this is a prime example, right? Share what you learn, because here's what winds up happening. It's all about a network effect. It's an algorithmic network effect that winds up happening on any one of these platforms. The magic sauce is basically you are creating a post. You're tagging individuals who have influence. You're piggybacking off of their influence. You're sharing what you learned, and that is extending your reach into their powerful network. Okay, that's how the algorithm works. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so honestly, leverage us to build your network. Right, it helps us, it helps you, and it's a mutually beneficial thing. So definitely do that, and we'll tag you afterwards and show you some love.
It'll boost your post.
Madeline, so here's something interesting. I've seen this trend. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's this green, like, open to network or open to work or open to opportunities thing that just popped up. Where is this coming from?
LinkedIn actually did that.
They did. Okay. And like, what are your thoughts on the open to work banner on your profile image? What do you think about that?
That's a good one.
So I wrote a post about this. I have a pretty cut and dry opinion. I don't think it'll help you. I think it's not a useful feature. I'm upset. Upset's maybe a strong word. I'm disappointed that LinkedIn rolled this out. I don't think it gives job seekers an advantage because, again, it's focused. We have to focus on the value add to the world, not what you want. And saying open means it's what you want. There is a massive recruiting industry out there. There are these firms of recruiters who don't belong to any company. And what they do is they bring talented professionals to companies to say, I'll hire you. And they get paid about 20% of that person's salary in order to make the introduction. Companies are not paying.
Not even the hire, just
intro.
Companies are not paying for someone with a green thing around their photo. That actually makes it so it's harder for the recruiter to push you through because they think, oh, we could have gotten that person ourselves. No, companies want the people who are being competed over or who are in demand. And so even if you don't have a current position, that doesn't mean that you're not in demand. You're just being selective and you're also focusing on the value you add to the world. And so really focusing on when like there might be dozens of houses on the market and you might say there's no good houses on the market, right? You're not going to buy a house unless it's the right one. And that's the same with employers. They're not just looking for someone who's open. They're looking for someone who is the right fit.
Yeah. There's two things in here. Okay. So putting actively seeking opportunities in your headline is the death stab, and putting open to work is the death stab in your image. I totally agree with Madeline on this topic. And I think here's the problem with this. People, recruiters, hiring managers, they inherently want to see somebody as a scarce resource, not a commodity. If you say you may be desperate for a job, and I've been in this situation, so I can like very much relate to this scenario. I said that I was open to opportunities because that's what I wanted to put out into the world. But from the lens of the recruiter and hiring managers, they can have you. And we all know that when we can have something, we don't want it. When we can't have something, we want it more. And what that does is it translates to your salary negotiation strategy. Because as soon as you get to a point where they want you, and that's why we think it's so important to create content, as soon as they want you, then you can dictate the terms of your salary negotiation. And I think that's incredibly, incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So
that means you have leverage.
Yeah, you give yourself leverage. I'm always talking about where you can achieve leverage in the market. Your leverage is content creation, right? That's why Madeline creates content. That's why Tim creates content and why I create content, right? Because we attract those opportunities in the world to us like it's going out of style, right? They're a constant flow of opportunities and interesting things happening for us.
I think even deeper than that, your leverage is your community.
Leverage is your community.
we each have really powerful communities that trust us and the content that we put out. And I think what a lot of people don't realize when it comes to talent, your trust, even as you go up in leadership, for many of you all who are probably listening and watching this current live webinar, you all want to eventually be maybe execs, senior managers, directors. And the reason how you move up, even within a company, or even if you want to start your own business and your own thing, is people have to trust you and your business. And you have to actually have a strong community. You can't build anything without people that trust you and your services. And I think the same applies for when you think about talent and how you want to find a job. It's like, one, you have to have skills that are in demand, like Makeline says, but you have to actually have people who look to you as a trusted authority in your space for your skills. And that makes it so much more easier to get that job.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Makeline, so Leah asked a different question, and I'd love to get your perspective about the.
And we are 2 minutes over time, y'all, but we're gonna.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So we can wrap it up.
Yeah, for sure. So Leah asked this question about what's your take on behavioral. Let me see. I'll post it here. What's your take on behavioral questions with answering in STAR method? I really don't understand how framing these questions would tell someone how you actually are, but it is something still practiced in interviews.
Yes. So Leah, so let me just level set with everyone so everyone knows what we're talking about. Behavioral interview questions are when someone says, tell me about a time when, you had to deal with a difficult coworker, so on. STAR method means situational, task, action, result. So that is the way to explain your story answer. So behavioral interview questions are some of the most predictive of how you'll do in the job, because past performance can help predict future performance. So actually, I do advocate that interviewers use behavioral interview questions, because instead of me asking, so like, how do you feel when you work under pressure? That is like an abstract answer. You're gonna be like, well, I sometimes feel like I just need to get really serious, whatever. It's a bunch of BS. Yeah. But if you tell me about a time when you had to work under competing deadlines, I would get to hear a story of how you thought through a problem and what was the result of your actions. And so I actually advocate for the STAR method. I reduce it to PAR or CAR. I think the 4 steps is overdoing it. I usually do challenge, action, result. So what is the challenge that was at hand? That you had to get out the newspaper in a shorter amount of time than normal. Your action was that you decided to negotiate with the printer to get 2 extra hours. And the result was that it hit stands right on time, and all of your ads were, people who provided ads were happy. Whatever it is, right? Yeah, sure. And I go, oh, this person really is a go-getter, and it shows me that. So I think that there's a lot of value there. And the PAR formula, CAR formula is a way for you to make sure you don't skip anything. Because often people skip R. They skip the result. They say, so this happened and I did something. Okay, what were the results of your actions? Why was that meaningful?
Yeah, I think people have a lot of difficulty trying to articulate the results that they've achieved in a company, because oftentimes many companies, they say that they are oriented towards results, but really true results are really hard to measure.
Yeah, and many companies have duplicate people who are working in the same. Many companies actually don't operate as efficiently as they tout.
They don't.
They're just duplicate, doing nothing, absolutely just wasting time and capacity for the business.
Yeah. That's something in my company that we get drilled into our head about, how do you measure it? Yeah. How do you create a baseline for something? Where are we at today? How do we articulate what is where we are at today? Current state of affairs with data, right? Today, our page drop-off rate is 30% per month or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I created a goal to increase or to decrease the drop-off rate by X% over X time. I took the action steps, and as a result, action step A and B and C, very specific, right? Not wishy-washy. As a result, this happened, right? Mm-hmm. I was able to exceed my goal by X, Y, or Z, in which nobody else was able to do that in the past, right? I stand out by structuring my answer that way. And what it allows the interviewer to know is this person understands how to articulate their thoughts in a short period of time, how to articulate their thinking, be very clear. And keep in mind, everyone, that when the interviewer is taking notes, they have to take notes in a structured way. Make their life easy as hell, right? Make it super simple for them. That's why they want it in the STAR method, so that they can just package the notes up, send it off, and have a debate about your hire.
Love it. And we are over time, you all. Thank you so much for participating in this amazing webinar with John and Madeline and I. Wasn't she fantastic? Like,
she is fantastic.
I mean, everywhere Madeline goes, she's just like a ray of sunshine. And Madeline, we're so grateful that you found time to really come on and talk with John and I, and really just shared so much value that you're always sharing. Like, it's often I'm often surprised that people still even ask you questions, because you share so much with the world, the world. But I think people love you so much because you're always giving practical value, and you're always putting positive energy out there. So we really, really appreciate you for all that you do. And like John and I, we literally thought to ourselves, like, who better than to be a part of this webinar series than us inviting Madeline, someone that we love and follow so much. So we really appreciate you. I just want to let you know that. And more importantly, definitely tag us if you learned something today, because I learned about 30 things.
Yeah.
Just like as always with Madeline. So please tag us. Like, we're doing this webinar series monthly, John and I, and we're going to have amazing guests in the future similar to Madeline, who are going to share amazing tips on how to take control of your career, build your personal brand, and everything else. Madeline, what is one powerful takeaway that you have for our amazing community?
I would just say persistence gets jobs. Don't slow down.
Yeah, that's right.
Hustle makes the money.
That's right.
Hustle.
And check out Madeline's course. She's got an awesome course. Okay, so if you want to learn some of these tips,
let me share that, actually.
Yeah, share that link one more time. Make the people know. Make the people know.
There it is.
There it is. I love it. So Miriam, it's going to be monthly. We'd love to do it weekly, but that would be tough.
We don't have the time.
We don't have the time. Yeah.
We share too much content already.
I know.
This is going to be monthly. It's going to be like amazing people monthly.
My wife would kill me.
Yeah.
Might kill me. Yeah.
So thank y'all so much. Once again, if you guys loved this webinar, let us know what you think. Tag us in a post. Tag Madeline, tag John, tag I. We're going to engage with it. We're going to show you love. We're going to share with our networks because we appreciate you. But as John says, this gives you an opportunity to tap into our networks, because as soon as you tag us, other people that are following us are going to see your content. And it's a great way for you to build your community and share that you're actively learning, even if you may not have a role right now, but you're actually learning, consuming information, and putting yourself out there and building your personal brand. So
that's so true. I love it.
Definitely do it. Madeline, we appreciate you so much. Literally, I just always love talking with you because you're just a wealth of knowledge and personality. So thank you so much, Madeline.
Thank you so much, Tim and John. This has been a blast.
Thank you.
Love it.
All right, y'all. With that
said,
it,
everyone. Have a great evening, great morning, wherever you're at. I know there's people all over the world. All right, take it easy. We're going to share this recording, okay? So that's coming in the next, hopefully this evening we can do that.
Yeah, we can do it. All right, y'all.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Later.
Later.